Now we understand your criteria and solutions for the manipulator. Let's move over to the controller. What was the current technology at that time?
Okay, well, here was our controller that had a lot of new things, which I'll get to later on. But if you look at what was available on the market, I'd say we had two solutions that you could possibly compare with and see how they were. First one was Unimation, then this big materials handling robot. And that was a controller that was basically a sequential control that could go between a number of sequence points, just like you program a dishwasher or a washing machine. You know, you go through a number of set steps. That meant you could program certain positions, but you had no possibility of programming the path in between. So the robot could go like this or like this, and you only had that point and the end point that you had programmed. So that was a limitation for the materials handling robots, and we had much bigger ambitions than that. Second was one that a company in our neighboring country, here, Tralfa Robot in Norway, was using for painting robots. And they had an entirely different approach. They had a robot that you actually moved in a teaching pattern. You moved the robot, which was hydraulic and balanced, so you created the spray paint path that you wanted to have. And while you moved it, you programmed that into a regular tape recorder that was in a controller in a special tape loop. So then you could recreate the path without any changes, but you could not modify it in any way without basic reprogramming. So that did not have any flexibility really in that sense. And we didn't really like either one of those two. So we had to create a third kind of a controller.
Based on the weaknesses of these two types, you decided to go for a completely new controller. Björn, could you please explain this further?
Sure. This, you could say simply, is the new controller. Doesn't look much different from the outside from others, not even from the inside, but it does have a specific, very new feature. We were very lucky in this development by having the possibility for the first time ever really started to use a microprocessor base. Earlier we had not had access to that, but just when we were working on this, Intel in the United States came out with their 8008 8-bit microprocessor. And as we looked at that, that seemed to us to be a possible computer-based system that we could expand into path control, into sensor input possibilities. So we decided to try that. And so this is one that housed the small microprocessor, which I actually went over myself to the United States in the late fall of 1972 and picked up from Intel in California. So we were very lucky, saying again, to find this new technology right at our doorstep, basically, at the time when we needed it. And that became then very expandable for 2 generations.